The invisible hand of the scary bridge. Mark, 20s, an ambitious, cynical urban explorer and live streamer. He views the supernatural as currency for clicks. Clara, 20s, Mark's sound engineer and girlfriend. Skeptical but cautious, she has a bad feeling about this, but her loyalty keeps her there. The invisible hand, an ancient, unseen force tied to the bridge. It doesn't just attack, it manipulates, pulls, and reshapes reality around its victims. EXT, the Blackwood Bridge Night. A decaying, rusted iron truss bridge stretches across a pitch-black, roaring river chasm. Fog rolls thick over the rotted wooden planks. Trees choke the riverbanks, their branches clawing at the sky like skeletal fingers. The air is heavy, thick with the smell of wet earth and copper. A sharp, bright light cuts through the mist. Mark, 20s, walks into the frame of a high-end smartphone camera mounted on a stabilizer. He's wearing a thick jacket, a beanie, and a performative, high-energy smile. Mark. To the camera, booming voice. What is up, Deathwatchers? We are live. No cuts, no edits, pure terror. Tonight, we're standing at the mouth of the infamous Blackwood Bridge. He pans the camera toward the yawning void of the bridge. The fog seems to swallow the light. Mark, Suantide. Local legend says in 1924, a frantic mother crossed this bridge fleeing a town fire. She claimed something invisible grabbed her child right out of her arms and threw him into the rapids below. Since then, dozens of jumpers, hundreds of missing person reports. They call it the invisible hand. And tonight, we're going to see if it wants to shake hands. Behind the camera, Clara, 20s, adjusts the dials on a heavy audio recorder strapped to her chest. She wears oversized headphones, her face pale under the glow of her equipment. Clara. Whispering. Mark, tone it down. The audio is peaking, and honestly, the vibes are already completely rancid. Let's just get the baseline readings and go. Mark. Turning to her, lowering his voice but keeping the smirk. Clara, babe, the chat is absolutely exploding right now. Look at this. 5,000 viewers in 3 minutes. They don't want baseline readings. They want to see us sweat. Clara. Something is wrong with the frequency, Mark. Listen to this. She pulls off one side of her headphones and presses it to his ear. Through the cup, a deep, rhythmic thump. Mark blinks, momentarily unnerved, then grins. That's just the wind structural resonance. It's perfect. Adds production value. Come on. Mark steps past the rusted barrier. The moment his boot hits the first wooden plank of the bridge, a sharp snap echoes. The fog instantly shifts, rolling toward them against the direction of the wind. EXT, the bridge midway night. They are 50 yards out. The shoreline has vanished into the mist behind them. Below, the river rages, a distant, violent roar. Mark holds the camera out, capturing his own face and the empty, terrifying expanse behind him. Mark. We are right in the middle of the span now. The temperature just dropped a solid 15 degrees. I can see my breath. Chat is asking if we feel anything. Honestly, just a little numbness in my. Mark's arm jerks violently to the left. The camera spins wildly, catching a glimpse of the empty air, before Mark catches his balance. He drops the stabilizer, his wrist bent at an awkward angle. Mark, Suantide. Ah. Holy shit. Clara. Mark. What happened? Mark. Holding his wrist, staring into the empty air. Under the harsh beam of his flashlight, thick, dark red welts are rising on his wrist. They perfectly mimic the shape of 4 massive fingers and a thumb, squeezing deep into his flesh. The welts are sinking deeper, as if the unseen fingers are still pressing down. Panic rising. Oh my God, it's bruising right now. Mark, that's not a draft. We're leaving. Turn off the stream. Mark. Staring at the phone, which is lying face up on the planks. No. No, look at the chat. 10,000. 15,000. They're donating like crazy. They think it's a stunt, but they're hooked. Clara. I don't care about the chat. Look at your hand. Suddenly, Clara's headphones blast a screeching wave of static. She tears them off, dropping them around her neck. Through the open air, the thump sound from earlier is no longer digital. It is coming from the bridge itself. The heavy iron beams are groaning, vibrating in sync with the heartbeat. Then, a new sound. Drag. 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 It sounds like a heavy burlap sack being pulled across the rough wooden planks. It is moving toward them from the dark far end of the bridge. Mark. Breathing heavily, picking up the camera with his left hand. Do you hear that? Someone's out there. Hey! Who's there? The flashlight beam cuts through the fog. Nothing. Just empty, rotting wood. But the planks are depressing. One by one, sequentially, the wood bows downward under an immense, invisible weight. Step. 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 It's walking toward them. Clara. Mark, run. Clara grabs Mark's jacket and pulls him back. They turn and sprint back toward the entrance of the bridge. EXT, the bridge, the trap night. They run for what feels like minutes. Their boots slam against the wood. But the shore doesn't appear. The rusted iron framework of the bridge just repeats endlessly in the fog. Clara. Gasping for breath, stopping. Wait, wait. We only walked 50 yards out. We should be off by now. Mark. The bridge, it's not ending. Clara. Look down. Mark points the light at the planks beneath their feet. Carved into the wood, fresh and dripping with wet splintered pulp, are words. Leave a tithing. Mark. What the hell does that mean? Clara. It's a toll. The legend, the mother didn't just lose her kid. She gave him up so she could cross. Before Mark can answer, an invisible force slams into Clara's chest. Clara, Soantide. Gasps, her breath knocked out. Ugh. She is violently hoisted 2 feet into the air. Her back arches unnaturally, as if an immense, unseen palm is lifting her by the sternum. Clara, Soantide. Choking, kicking her legs in mid-air. Mark. It's got me. It's squeezing. Mark. Clara. Mark drops the camera, it lands perfectly angled upward, capturing the horror. He leaps forward and grabs Clara's hands. He pulls down with all his weight, but it's like trying to move an iron statue. The air around Clara begins to distort. The fog warps around her body, forming the faint, terrifying silhouette of a colossal, multi-jointed hand. The fingers are impossibly long, wrapping completely around her torso. The invisible fingers squeeze. Clara's ribs emit a sickening, wet crack. Clara. Gasping, blood spitting from her lips. Mark, please, it's pulling me to the edge. Slowly, horizontally, Clara's floating body begins to drift toward the rusted railing of the bridge. Below her, the black river roars hungrily. Mark is dragged along with her, his boots sliding against the slick wood. He looks at her pain, hears her bones cracking, and a primal terror takes over him. He looks at his own bruised wrist. He looks at the dark void. He stops pulling. Clara, Soantide. Eyes wide with betrayal, choking. Mark. Don't let go. Mark. Tears streaming down his face, backing away. I can't pull you back. It's too strong. It wants a tithing, Clara. It won't let us both go. Clara. No. Mark. Please. With a sudden, violent jerk, the invisible hand hurls Clara over the railing. She doesn't even have time to scream. A distant, heavy splash echoes from the darkness far below, instantly swallowed by the roaring rapids. EXT, the bridge alone night. Silence falls over the bridge. The heavy, rhythmic heartbeat sound stops. The fog settles, turning perfectly still. Mark stands frozen, staring over the edge. His breathing is shallow, ragged. He is completely uninjured, save for the deep, purple handprint on his wrist. He looks down at his feet. The phone is still there. The live stream is still live. The viewer count is at an astronomical 80,000 people. The chat is moving so fast it's a blur of white light. Is this real? Oh my God. Did she just die? Someone call the police. Holy shit, best ARG ever. Mark slowly kneels down and picks up the phone. His hands shake so violently he can barely hold it. He brings the camera up to his face. Mark. Voice hollow, dead. She's gone. It took her. He looks back toward the way they came. The fog has cleared. Just 20 yards away, the solid earth of the riverbank and their parked car are perfectly visible. The trap is open. The toll has been paid. Mark stumbles backward, away from the railing. He begins to walk, then jog, then sprint toward the safety of the shore. He bursts through the fog, his boots hitting the gravel of the mainland. He collapses against the hood of his car, sobbing, hyperventilating, but clutching the phone tight to his chest. Mark, Soentide. I'm alive. Oh God, I'm alive. The phone in his hand chimes. A notification pops up on the screen, cutting through the live stream chat. It's a direct message from an unknown user. The username is just a string of blank spaces. Mark opens it with a trembling thumb. The message reads, "Thank you for the tithing. The sponsorship is approved." Mark frowns, his breath catching in his throat. Suddenly, his car's headlights flash on by themselves, blinding him. The radio blasts to life, filling the night air with deafening, chaotic static. Mark spins around to look at the bridge. The fog isn't on the bridge anymore. It is rolling off the wood, creeping up the gravel path, wrapping around the tires of his car. From the dark interior of his own vehicle, a cold, heavy pressure settles onto Mark's right shoulder. He freezes. He looks down at his shoulder. The fabric of his heavy jacket is being depressed, sinking down under the weight of 5 distinct, invisible, heavy fingers. A wet, raspy whisper echoes right next to his ear, blending with the static of the radio. Hollow, scraping. "We have a multi-video contract, Mark." The invisible grip on his shoulder tightens, crushing his collarbone with an agonizing snap. Mark screams as he is violently dragged backward, his boots scraping across the gravel, pulled helplessly back toward the yawning, dark mouth of the bridge. The phone drops into the dirt, face up. On screen, the viewer count ticks up to 100,000. The chat continues to cheer.